So to commemorate WrestleMania 28, I figured I'd do a review of last year's WrestleMania 27. Let's jump right into it. First match on the card, World Heavyweight Championship, Edge versus Alberto Del Rio. Definitely not the match that I was expecting. Alberto Del Rio's career in the WWE is a fail, and we all expected Alberto Del Rio to win, but Edge ends up retaining in a average matchup. Definitely nothing to write home about. Was expecting a lot more. It's very sad that this was Edge's last match in the WWE ever. So, but that's just the way how things go. It's sad that an average match had to be Edge's excellent, the last match in Edge's excellent career. I find that disgraceful. Next match, Rey Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes. Average match. Rey Mysterio's broken down. He has no idea what he's fucking doing in the ring anymore. He's traveling at such a slow pace. He has had a dozen, I don't even think that's an exaggeration, a dozen knee surgeries throughout his career. So he's definitely slowing down. He's a legend, but, just like The Undertaker, he's got to give it up already. Cody Rhodes picking up the victory, well deserved. So much build-up went into this match for it to end up like a fail. But, 2 stars, not a complete fail, average, decent, passable, but, way, 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 way too slow. Ray's speed just fucked the whole thing up. Next match, The Core versus Big Show, Kane, Santino, and Kofi Kingston. Wade Barrett was the Intercontinental Champion at this point, and he was part of The Core along with Ezekiel Jackson, Heath Slater, and Justin Gabriel. So the tag champs and the Intercontinental Champion are both in this match. They're not defending their titles. They were just thrown onto the card in this random fucking matchup. What could really be said? A half a star. It lasted less than 2 minutes. It was just a throwaway matchup. The Core gets squashed, losing in less than 2 minutes. Disgraceful because the Core was considered a threat at this point in time, and it was just a waste, a disgrace. Get it out of my fucking face. That rhymed unintentionally, but that's just how these reviews are. Randy Orton, CM Punk. Definitely the match I was most looking forward to, and I was disappointed. I thought this was going to be a 4-star match, and ended up being a 2.5-star match by my standards. Decent, but slow at times. You had some rest holds and some generally slow action, but there was a couple of good spots. CM Punk and Randy Orton just looked tired. I guess because there was so much build-up that went into this matchup, and decent build-up at that. And I was excited about it, but it didn't live up to the hype. CM Punk, still WWE's best wrestler. Randy Orton, a great worker, but, I don't know what happened. They didn't meld well in this matchup, and, it fell flat of what I was expecting, but still decent and definitely the best match on the card so far. Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler. A lot of build-up went into this match. Fail! A dud. Stone Cold and Michael Cole shenanigans during the match were funny, but couldn't save this matchup. Why? Because if it was 5 minutes, I would give it a pass. And rate it based on humor. Maybe give it a good rating. But no, a lot of slow fucking brawling and just Jerry the King Lawler dragging around the Michael Cole throughout the match. Remind me of the Bret Hart Vince McMahon matchup. It was just a waste of time, and it didn't need to be done. It reminded me of WrestleMania 26, but this one was even worse. Just slow and a waste of fucking time with the King picking up the victory, and then the decision is reversed and Cole ends up winning, and so go figure. It was completely fucking ridiculous. They confused the crowd, and I think everybody pretty much fucking hated it, judging on the internet response to it. The next match on the card, thank fucking God, Undertaker versus Triple H, saving this pay-per-view from being a complete disaster. A hardcore, well-fought match. Undertaker and Triple H, probably the two most broken down dogs in WWE. They have had so many injuries. They're so slow, but for some reason, they managed to turn it up in this matchup and put on an epic performance that will never be forgotten. And we're hearing about it to this day. And if you are hearing about it, and you're looking at the matchup from the build up for their WrestleMania 28 match. Their WrestleMania 27 match was actually good, and that's not just hype. I give it 4 stars. It was great. The Undertaker couldn't leave on his own; had to be carried out by paramedics. Paramedics at the end. Great matchup throughout. There was just so many great spots in this matchup, and Triple H taking the Undertaker to the limit. Definitely looked like Undertaker's most difficultly won matchup of all time. Really had to fight for the victory in this one, and it looked really good. Next match, John Morrison, Trish Stratus, Snooki versus Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool. Dolph Ziggler, 2 months prior to this matchup, was the World Heavyweight Champion in WWE. And he's thrown in to a match with Snooki in a throwaway matchup that lasted 3 minutes. Disgraceful in every way. Melina was complaining about why didn't she get Trish Stratus' spot in this matchup. That's just a little bit of backstage news for you, what was going on behind the scenes. But I don't really see the point for the jealousy because the match fucking sucked. I give it a 1/4 of a star because it was really nothing. It was cool to see Snooki that they got such a big celebrity to be in the matchup. But John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler, 2 great talents being wasted on this pay-per-view. Dolph Ziggler versus John Morrison. Now that would have been a great matchup on this card. But we had to wait all the way to Survivor Series later that year to get to see that matchup. So a lot of good that does us. Next on the card, you've got... Oh, look at this. The Miz versus John Cena. Oh, God. Let's just get this one out of the way quickly because it was a fucking disaster. First of all, the build-up for this matchup was mostly focused on John Cena and The Rock, not John Cena and The Miz. So, right away, you knew that this matchup wasn't going to be about Miz and John Cena. WWE didn't even fucking care. They had nothing planned for this matchup at all. It's almost like The Miz and John Cena went out there without a game plan because it was just generic action the whole way through. Nothing at all was great about this matchup. The ending was stupid. They got counted out. They restarted the match. The Rock is the rock bottom to John Cena. The Miz steals a victory. 1.5 stars. Get it out of my fucking face. I never want to talk about this match again. The worst main event in WrestleMania history, perhaps, because I just can't even fucking stand it. I mean, okay, it was a little bit better than JBL versus John Cena at WrestleMania 21, but come on. Still, this matchup was fucking horrible. You could have put it on any Raw or SmackDown, and, nobody would have thought anything of it, but it was WrestleMania, and WWE had the nerve to call this the greatest WrestleMania of all time. It provided great build-up for John Cena and The Rock because The Rock cost John Cena the world title on the biggest stage of them all. But how about the match itself? It was fucking garbage. So overall, I don't even know what to fucking rate this WrestleMania. It was horrible. Triple H and The Undertaker, the 2 most broken down stars on the roster, actually saved WrestleMania. It's the most bizarre story of all time. You had Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, who were originally scheduled to compete for the U.S. title, but they got bumped off of the card, and they ended up in the dark match. So fucking stupid that they would do that. A potentially great match shoved to the side in favor of a bunch of lackluster matches that were totally forgotten the moment this WrestleMania was over. Horrible main event, horrible WrestleMania. I will definitely review WrestleMania 28 when that one is all finished and done in a couple of weeks. Until then, just sit back and let's just fucking forget about this WrestleMania. Horrible.